This episode is brought to you by The Guarantors. Facing rising renter fraud? Don't let fraudulent applications compromise your financial stability. The Guarantors provide a safety net that protects your rent roll and minimizes bad debt. Why risk it? Talk to The Guarantors and secure your property's financial health. Visit theguarantors.com/multifamily today. Before we get into today's episode, I'd like to give a shout out to Ronald Harrington and his podcast, Rooms with Ronald. If you hadn't had the opportunity to check out Rooms with Ronald, I would highly encourage you to do so. You can get him on any one of your favorite podcast platforms and or over on YouTube. So this episode of Multifamily Collective is concerning a post by Brendan Wallace, CEO, CIO at Fifth Wall. He shared something about Starbucks. Basically a revamp. Yes, I printed the story off LinkedIn. That's kind of weird, right? So the point he's getting at, I don't know if this is necessarily his post. Yeah, I think it is that Starbucks went wrong in terms of their consumer experience or their CSX consumer experience. And I believe this to be true. And I actually posted, I want to say it was like 10 years ago, that Starbucks was starting to lose its edge, and they've been through a couple of CEOs since then. And the edge was, I was living in St. Louis at the time, and I would go into Starbucks and I would sit to do work, and the stores were dirty. The conversations that the baristas were having behind the service area, so to speak, were just, in my head, out of bounds as it relates to what a consumer would really want to hear. I'll give you an example. Tough customers come in, and baristas, as soon as that customer walks out, baristas start complaining about that customer and calling that customer silly names. I heard that on lots of different occasions. And I get it. Sometimes your job is stressful, but you have to know that the other consumers are still in your space. It's unlike being in an office with a closed door. But anyway, the point is that Starbucks has really lost their way. And I am a huge Starbucks fan. I have been for a very long bit of time, but as of late, I don't go to the stores. Too expensive, long waits, dirty stores. It's just not a great experience from a consumer's perspective. And I like what Brendan had to say in terms of a lesson for real estate: put people first. And what really comes to mind for me is the PropTech explosion in the multifamily space. And our site team members are encumbered by lots of technology today, lots of logins, lots of technology that doesn't necessarily speak well with other technologies. The integrations aren't there. So there's this smooth interchange of information and data in and out of systems. And consumers, may or may not know how to use the technology. So then our team members become IT specialists and or platform service agents instead of leasing and selling apartments and providing customer service unrelated to the tech stuff that we use in our properties. And so I have to believe in some way, shape, or form. And I know this, having sold my house 2 years ago and have become a renter by choice in a single family home. And I've lived now with 3 different property management companies in the experience. And it's no indictment of these 3 companies, but the consumers' experience as relates to the technology, both from a touring and curation or securing of a single family home. My imagination tells me it's a little bit similar or the same as a multifamily process or system or experience. It was really cumbersome. To include, taking a picture of yourself to validate who you are, and that piece of technology not working well, having to move the camera around, making sure the lighting's on, and all of these sorts of things in order just to get in a house to see it. No one experience with no piece of technology was smooth or frictionless, as they say. And so I think it is incumbent upon the multifamily industry to take notice of this post that Brendan put out, and take notice of what Starbucks is doing and pay attention to what they're doing to sort of ease up the consumer experience, make it better, hopefully make it excellent, hopefully draw people who used to love Starbucks but don't go anymore, draw them back into the stores, but take lessons from that. I'm gonna pay attention myself, and if I see lessons that Starbucks is putting in place, that we can share here on the Multifamily Collective, we will do so. But I think it starts with this post that Brendan shared. Brendan, thank you for sharing it. And I think that we are on notice. Take care. We'll talk to you again soon.